All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What is going on, everybody? We're back talking some fights. One of my favorite shows of the week, no doubt about it. Coming off, it was a very fun card in Utah. Absolutely sick crowd. And what I'm most excited for is you go from one great crowd, you don't go back to the Apex. We're finally in front of fans again. Heading to Nashville. If anybody's going to the fights, have a blast. 12 fights. Looks like we'll keep all of them as well. One weight miss. It was the guy who's fighting Woodson, Dennis Bazooka. He is missed by half a pound. I didn't see if he went back and did make weight there, but took the fight on a couple days' notice. No shame in that. It's going to be a fun one, Marley. It's a great one for DFS, too. Biggest favorite, minus 410, but a lot of closely lined fights. I think we see some underdogs come through. A lot of big ceiling performances, fights. Anytime you see Billy Q on the slate, expect a big one. Rob Font, Corey Sandhagen, two of the best, most volume guys in the division, in the UFC. So should be a big one there. Before I even throw it to you, though, I want to announce this giveaway. We're doing a ticket giveaway, and it is from our guy, Jay Sully 32 in the Discord. Shout out to Jay Sully. I'm going to put this in the Discord here. You do need to be a member at SHIPITNation.com. So maybe I'll give it 10 minutes. If someone does want to join, get in the Discord, that's how we're going to be drawing it. So I'll give it like 10 minutes, a couple fights in. I'll say everything, and then I'll tag the Discord how it is. But he's giving away a $200, the triangle ticket, 3-entry max. Awesome stuff from Jay Sully. Had a great week. Last week, he hit me up. He said he wanted to give back. So, awesome. Yeah, I'm not even gonna talk about the things yet. Actually, what I'll say is, yeah, Jay Sully's giving away. He picked one fighter, anybody in the UFC. That's what I told him to do. We said I had to narrow it down on weight classes. Every single weight division, the roster's too big. So it's from welterweight all the way to heavyweight, a random person. Think of it. Don't drop it anywhere in Discord right now. You will have one guess. If you have two guesses, you're disqualified. The first one I see gets it. So, again, we'll give people 10 minutes or something if they want to join over here at SHIPITNation.com. MLB's absolutely been on fire this week. MMA, we got all of our stuff going to be rolling up. I'm almost done with all my stuff. Projections, ownership, just like we have in PGA now, too. That was a new addition starting last week. Everything you need to be successful. Fight breakdowns, I got you covered. Big Marley does fight rankings, his predictions, a little blurb on each fight, how he ranks them from 5-star, 3-star, etc. Rankings, core plays, hoops on him as well. He's always in the MMA streets. It's a fun one, man. Big Marley, how you doing this week?
I'm good. Yeah, just as you said, coming off a good card in front of a live crowd. I'm so excited to get back to just live crowds only. It's just got to be different for these fighters going back and forth, fighting in front of nobody and then fighting in front of a crowd. So I'm just ready for it to all be the same pre-Rona. But yeah, this is a good start to it. I think I was in the last Nashville card. It's a good time down there. Not going back this time, but hopefully we win some money. And if we win some money, maybe I'll be going to some future cards. But I think it's a good one. I love the main event. Huge Corey Sandhagen fan, and Rob Font's going to bring it. So you can't complain on this card.
Absolutely. Andrew Black, how do we enter? So all you have to do is be a member at SHIPITNation.com, and then you have to be in the Discord. So I'm going to put I have a message planned out. I'm about to click send in like 10 minutes. I'm going to give people a chance if they do want to join. And don't just join for that giveaway. Like, you join because you play MLB, NFL's coming up, you're in best ball, NBA, PGA, MMA, projections, everything you need to be successful at one low price. Don't just join because you want a chance at the giveaway. If you want to do that, sure. That's not what we want, though. We want you to actually want the product, play DFS, all that. We're also doing more giveaways. Yesterday, $55,000 put on our Ship It Nation Twitter page, 2 tickets for the $222.22 baseball, giving away 2 of those. How you have to enter that, go to Twitter, go to SHIPITNation.com, and one of those tickets you don't have to be a member. I believe one you do, one you don't. So head to the Twitter page, also be live for that. A lot of tickets going around here. Again, shout out to Jay Sully. Shout out to Hoop for the big win. Got to shout out some guys in chat before we go fight by fight. Sean B's in here. My man, Andy Hoyman. What's going on? Jay, Big Marley's in here. Mike Carr. Rummy, what's up? G Pfeiffer, Leadman, Andrew Black, Richie Smalls. Appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. I always love some fights. Love talking fights Friday morning. We got 12 fun ones. We will start first fight of the night. Big Marley, remind me after 3 fights, that's when I will start going and click this button. So I'll try and remember. You try and remember. Chat will keep us in check if I forget, though. Let's start first fight of the night. We got a UFC debut. Almabayev taking on Ode Osborne. Almabayev coming in. He's 8,600. Ode Osborne 7,600. Looking at the odds, about minus 190, plus 165 on the way back for Ode. This fight's minus 135 to finish. Almabayev plus 190 inside the distance. Ode plus 240. So pretty good fight to kick off the card. I'm excited for it. Almabayev making his debut out of Kazakhstan. I probably butchered that, but it was literally the same guy as we just saw a couple weeks ago come in as a big favorite against Tyson Nam in that fight. It was a really close split decision. I'm looking at these guys a lot of the same. It was as that Maxim was the name I'm thinking of. And both these guys, like 17-2 is Almabayev. Maxim came in with a good record. Has fought some pretty solid competition too. And look at the tape. Like, I think Almabayev is pretty solid. Primary wrestler. Think he's going to be shooting for 15 minutes. Good entries, solid on top, more position and control over submission, which I do like for DraftKings. Rack it up. On the feet, he's not great. Ode, I think, has the striking advantage. So I'm looking at it as a clash of styles. 8,600. I prefer the wrestler, especially for DFS. We know the ceiling, takedowns, top control. Ode can slow as the fight goes on, but Ode's live at 7,600 for a KO. So I like this fight to start. I'll take Almabayev. A lot of unknowns, though, with him making his UFC debut. What do you got?
Yeah, I think it's a decent fight to target. Almabayev looks like a solid prospect. Similar to Azmat, where he's not going to be blowing you away with volume on the feet. And he's more so of a kicker, I would say, rather than a puncher from Azmat. But the best part of his game, in my opinion, is his wrestling. He's got some solid slams over guys, and he's pretty good at keeping top control. And I think that's his path to a high score in this fight, is he's got to get it to the ground because he's not going to score well on the feet. And even though Osborne is like plus 150 to win the fight, they both have the same inside the distance line at plus 200. So I'd honestly rather go down $1,000 as Osborne to my preferred play because he can win this fight on the feet. He could be higher volume. He's dangerous on the feet. He could get a knockout. I think Almabayev is the wrestler, but on the regional scene, Osborne's wrapping guys up quick, getting submissions in the first round. I think he is live for a submission off his back here or a guillotine, or if he can get takedowns himself, I think Almabayev could be in some trouble. So I'm not really looking to pay a lot. I mean, in a lot of lineups, that 8,600 on Almabayev, because I think his only path is 3 rounds of wrestling success. He can score 100 plus that way. But if Osborne makes this a fight for 3 rounds and it's back and forth, I don't even know that Almabayev's going to 10X here. I don't trust him to go out and look for takedowns early and often. He spends a little bit too much time on the feet for my liking. So I'd rather save the $1,000. Even though I'm picking Osborne to lose, I think Almabayev does get 2 rounds on the books with wrestling. But my preferred play at 7,600 is going to be Osborne in this one because I think he's got a better chance at 100 plus points.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we disagree a little bit. Like, I think he's going to feel Ode's power early, the length advantage for Ode, and be like, yeah, I better shoot early and often. There's so many unknowns, though. We'll see. Like, it's the biggest step up in competition for him. Yeah, I'll have both sides of this fight to start. I lean Almabayev. I just like the wrestling, the takedown upside. Like, he could get 10 takedowns at the end of the day. We know Ode's not going to get that. He's live for the early finish, but that 1,000 does go a long way. Ode's going to be way lower owned fighter too. Yeah, he's definitely going to be lower owned at 7,600. I don't think Almabayev is going to be crazy. I mean, outside of Corey Sandhagen, so a broad overview, Corey Sandhagen, Tatiana Suarez, outside of those two, I think ownership relatively, Diego Lopez, he's going to get some good ownership. Carlson Harris, those guys have got steam in the mid-tier this week, so I think they come in pretty high owned too. But outside of Suarez, Sandhagen, mix in those two. I think ownership's relatively spread out, but I do expect O'Day to be the lower owned fighter. Yeah, good fight to start, though. That's why I always recommend playing 20 teams. They did take away that 20 entry haymaker, though. Love what they did, though. $3, 150 max. They brought back out for this one as well. 39,000 people. I think it's like 10,000 to first two. So you can throw 20 lineups in that, can win 10,000. So yeah, great contest over here, as always, in the MMA streets. That's the first fight of the night. Second fight, Sean Woodson, Dennis Bazooka. This is the one that Bazooka, if I'm mispronouncing it, I don't know exactly how to say his last name. I'm going with the Bazooka route, though. 9,600 Woodson, 7,500 for Bazooka. He was the one fighter that missed weight. So he took this fight. Sean Woodson, this is the fourth opponent Sean Woodson was supposed to fight this week. That's why you look at the pricing. Now, Sean Woodson was 9,600, was going to be a big favorite. Multiple guys go through. Finally, they settle on Bazooka. 7,500. Look at the odds. Minus 175 for Woodson, plus 150 on the way back for the most expensive fighter on the card in Sean Woodson. So Woodson naturally is going to be one of the lower owned fighters. There's a path to the optimal. Like in my 150, I'll definitely have some. He throws over 5 significant strikes per minute. However, like Suarez is 100 less. I love Corey Sandhagen. I'm locking him in 20 teams or less. I'll give that away right now. So if I love Suarez for 100 less, I'm already locking in Sandhagen. I just can't get to Woodson in 20 teams or less. In 150, yes, I'll get some. Most people out here probably aren't playing 150, though. He has a path. He's going to be low owned. Don't think it's the craziest thing. I like to make stands. I like to cross people off, get a more narrow pool with the less lineups I play. So win equity isn't great. I haven't really seen finishing odds. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Like I haven't seen the inside the distance prop right now.
Yeah,
if you see them, you haven't either. Like I see KO props. I'm on fightides.io. That's the best spot to look if you're out there. Like I see Woodson plus 235 by TKO, KO. I don't see a whole inside the distance prop, but Woodson in round one plus 450. I want a little more at 9,600 when I know we'll get to Suarez. Woodson's going to keep it on the feet. Suarez takedown. So pretty much he's priced out for me in this tier. And naturally, 7,500, only plus 150. I think he might mix in some takedowns too. I mean, he's 25 years old, 11-2, lost on Contender Series a couple years ago to Melsick, Bagdasarian. No shame in that at all. Rattled off 7 wins. One of those was on Contender Series. It was a boring fight. He was wrestling a little bit. He didn't impress Dana, though. Dana wants the flying knees, the Bijo pipe for all this stuff. He wants finishes, craziness. The guy, Bazooka, took his easiest path to victory. Didn't impress Dana enough. So he got the win, but didn't get the contract. Now stepping in on day's notice. I mean, man, I was surprised to see the line where it is. A guy on day's notice, I think he's solid. The line makes me want to go Bazooka route because I expected it to be minus 250, Sean Woodson. I mean, he's making his 7th walk to the UFC octagon. Massive for the division. Tall, skinny, 3-inch height advantage here. Has the advantage on the feet. If he gets taken down, though, who knows how to look like. I guess I'll take the dog shot, 0 confidence, but mainly because of DFS-wise. I'm not playing Woodson. I'm going to have some 7,500 Bazooka, but how do you see this fight going?
Yeah, this is Woodson's 4th opponent. So you would think that that's going to screw with his head a little bit. You don't really know what to train for. But he's just a pure boxer. He was going to come in with the same game plan no matter what, I think. So I don't think it's really too much different for Woodson. He's the one with the full training camp. He's going to be the better boxer, the higher volume striker over the course of 3 rounds. I do think he probably wins 2 rounds on the scorecards just on volume alone. But at 9,600, a guy that's not looking to wrestle, he doesn't really have power. It's more of a, jab you to death type of a style. I'm not paying $9,600 for Woodson when Suarez and Sandhagen are cheaper than him. So I'm going to X Woodson out of my player pool. And since I am picking him to win, I'm not going to have a whole lot of Bazooka either. But, I mean, it's dog or pass. I think at 7,500, Bazooka's in play. He's got power. He's mostly a striker as well, which is why I don't like him, because I think he probably looks to strike more than he should in this matchup. But he trains with some killers on the ground with Merab and Aljamain Sterling. If he was smart, I think he goes out here and looks for some takedowns, and he can score well in a decision if that is the case. He's also got power. We've seen Woodson dropped before. I think he was dropped 2 times in his last fight. So I think he's in play for the knockout too. This is all Bazooka or pass for me on DraftKings. And I'll probably just let ownership decide. If he comes in, I think a little too high, then I'll go underweight. If he looks like he's getting overlooked, then I'll go overweight. But there are a lot of underdogs on this card I'm picking to win, which will lead me more towards them. And I'm guessing I'll be underweight to Bazooka since I'm picking him to lose. But 7,500, not a bad price tag for him, but I expect mainly a striking match.
Yeah, I wrote that up too. I mean, he trains with Aljo, he trains with Marab, killers there. He's on the contender series. So 2 contender series fights. He has 3 takedowns total in them, but he is more like he's not an Aljo Marab. Like he does look like a guy that rather strikes, but which in his detriment, like against Nelsic, like he should have shot for more takedowns. He played too much at range there. So yeah, probably will strike more than the rest, especially on short notice. I don't know how he has to been training. I mean, the weight missed by half a pound. If he did go back on the scale, someone let me know. But he definitely drained himself to get there. I'm not sure he has the cardio to wrestle for 15 minutes. So, yeah, he probably does keep it on the feet more. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him mix in 1 or something. I do like other dogs upside more, though, like you are saying. But it's definitely dog or pass when it comes to DFS. We got one more fight, and then we will announce I'm going to drop it in the Discord, the exact layout, how you can win. We'll be monitoring that throughout the show. Again, shout out to Jay Sully. If you want a chance to get in, head over to shipitnation.com, get in the Discord. You will be live to get in this giveaway. And we got 2 giveaways going on, $222, 22-cent single entry tickets. MLB's running right now. Head over to our Twitter, shipitnation.com. One's going to a member. One is going to just someone that follows that tweet. So next fight on the card, we got Cody Durden. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. Jake Hadley taking on Cody Durden. 8,800 Hadley, 7,400 Durden. Hadley coming in about -200, plus 170, about plus 170 on the way back for Durden. -140 is fight to finish. Plus 615 Durden inside the distance. -105 for Hadley. So you look at the inside the distance prop for Durden. It's not great, but if he wins this fight, it's going to be, I think, like last fight, 11 takedowns, a lot of control time, 129 DK points. Hadley's no slouch on the mat either, though. Good grappler. I think he has the advantage on the feet. He's been working on it. Knocks out Malcolm Gordon in a little over 1 minute. 1 minute and 1 second. Brutal if you had some Hadley. Just misses that bonus by a second. It's a big swing there. That's the MMA. That's the volatility, the variance we play in this sport. But yeah, on the feet, I give it to Hadley. I think he has the volume, the power advantage. Durden's a good wrestler, though, man. And we did see Alan Nascimento take down Hadley twice, control him for 9.5 minutes. Nascimento very good on the mat, but that's the game plan Durden's going to come in with. Do you think he has success wrestling, or are you taking the favorite in Hadley?
I am going to take the favorite in Hadley. I just think he's the all-around better fighter. If this fight's on the feet, I think he's the more skilled striker, the guy who will be higher volume, the guy who can go a full 3 rounds of striking at a high rate. And I also think he's the more dangerous grappler. If he can get takedowns of his own, I think Durden's in trouble. I also think he's somewhat live for a submission off his back or a guillotine as he's getting taken down. But as you mentioned, Durden in his last fight, 11 takedowns, 10.5 minutes of control time, 129 DraftKings points in a decision. And his game plan has to be similar to that here. I think he's just a little bit outclassed everywhere, but if he can land takedowns and grind out minutes in top control, we've seen Hadley lose like that before. And Durden's a guy, even though he slows down as the fight moves along, he will fight out takedowns and just go through the fatigue. So I'm cool with Durden at 7,400, even though I'm picking him to lose. He's similar to Osborne for me, where they have some of the higher ceilings as underdogs. I want to take shots there. I'm actually more interested in Durden than I am Osborne, because I think the takedowns could be there in every round if he's not getting knocked out. And then Hadley, on the other hand, I mean, he's got a -105 inside the distance line. He could submit him. He could knock him out. 8,800 is a pretty solid price tag. I just think that there's, 3 other favorites I like more, probably 4. So I won't be able to get too much, but I see this being in close to 3/4 of my total lineups, and maybe I'll be evenly exposed to them, but probably in the 30% range on both guys. Since I like other favorites more, I'm not against using Durden in a single entry since I'm picking him. I mean, even though I'm picking him to lose, I think if I'm wrong, he's going to score over 10x and have a good chance at the optimal lineup. So I'm going to have some core fights on this card that I'll be targeting, and then I'll be mixing in the favorites that I'm picking. I mean, the underdogs that I'm picking to win. And then I'll also be throwing in Durden and Osborne. Even though I'm picking them to lose, they'll also be 20% plus guys that I'm looking to target.
Yeah, same thoughts here. Like at the end of the day, I do all the tape study. I do all the work. I make predictions. I look at the line if I think this guy's value this side or whatever. But I don't care as much about that when it comes to DFS. I want optimal. I want this guy can score 100. And each slate's different, but on this slate, there's multiple live dogs, good money line equity for the price. A lot of fights you look at, like this fight, if Cody Durden wins, it's hard seeing him not score well. That's what I want. I mean, a plus 160 dog, if he wins, he's going to score well. Like, I don't care if I'm not picking him to win. I'm going to play him in DFS. He's a good DFS play. Now, then it gets ownership in that. He will be pretty popular, but there's a lot of good dogs down here that we can say. We'll say the same thing we just said about Cody Durden. So I think it's relatively spread out. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be playing both sides. Yeah, Hadley, I think they come in similar on Durden and Hadley. Hadley minus 105 to finish. Like, people are going to go Billy Q more right in that range. Find the money for Sanhagen. I like Hadley a lot. I think he does eventually finish Durden. Durden's cardio looked good last fight out, but in the past, he has slowed down a bit. I think Hadley does have the cardio advantage. I think the jab will be working on the feet. He can hurt Durden a little bit, but Durden might just be the way back. I think he is the better wrestler. The question is, can he hold him down? I mean, 11 takedowns means the other guy got up multiple times, Charles Johnson, that is. So I'm not sure he can control Hadley for periods of time. Maybe I'm wrong, though, and if I am wrong, I'll definitely have some Durden, but that's a fun fight right there. All right, everybody, I'm tagging everyone in the Discord right now. So I just tagged everyone. Go read that. And again, how you shout out to Jay Sully, how you qualify for this. You only can respond once. He's giving away $200 tickets. One fighter from welterweight, so 170, all the way down, or all the way to heavyweight. Anybody on the UFC roster, he has a name in mind. He told me whoever gets that name gets that ticket. So head over to our MMA Discord at SHIPITNation.com. Only type once. I'll be monitoring it. You type twice. Even if your first one was right, you are disqualified. So awesome stuff, Jay Sully. Great fight right there. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, we got, literally kind of a carbon copy as this last one. Right in that same, no, I skipped one. Hold on. No, that's right. Billy Q, Damon Jackson, 8,900 for Billy Q, 7,300 for Jackson. Billy Q will be one of the most popular fighters on the card. Minus 175, minus 180 for Billy Q, plus 150 on the way back for Jackson. This fight's minus 180 to finish. Billy Q is plus 115. Damon Jackson plus 285. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I think it's a great fight to target in GPPs. Jackson, similar to Durden and Osborne, where if he wins, I expect him to score well because it should come through the grappling. Most of his wins are finishes. I think he could finish Quarantillo most likely with a submission. But even if he doesn't get a finish, if he wins a decision, I would still expect him to land multiple takedowns, have a lot of control time, and score well. But I am going to be lower weight on him than the other two because I really like Billy Quarantillo here. I think he's got a big striking edge. He can go hard for a full 15 minutes. He could land takedowns, have Jackson in a lot of trouble. And he just lands such solid volume on the feet and on the ground that when he wins, man, he scores well. He's scored 125, 141, 109, 85 is his lowest, and 131 in his UFC wins. He's also scored 76 in a loss. Like, those are the kind of guys I like to target. I'm always going to like Billy Q on DraftKings, but I like him even more so here because I think this is a pretty good matchup for him. I'm going to be pretty heavy on Billy Q here, which is why I won't have a whole lot of Jackson, but I still want some headshots on Jackson just in case I have 50% dead Billy Q lineups. I want 10 to 20% Jackson because he probably scores 75 to 95 points if he does get it done. But give me Billy Q to set a pace that Jackson can't keep up with. All of Jackson's losses have come inside the distance. I'll take Billy Q to make that 6 finish losses for Jackson.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm picking Billy Q. I mean, I think the cardio king, Damon Jackson can slow. Jackson's been hurt. He's been knocked out multiple times. I think 4 of his 5 losses have come by knockouts. Billy Q, I mean, he's not the biggest power puncher, but he does have some power, and it just is in your face. It's death of over 1,000 cuts right there. However, talking DFS wise, transitioning who I think Billy Q is going to be one of the highest owned fighters. So I mentioned Suarez, Sandhagen earlier, mentioned the Lopez and Carlson Harris. I should have put Billy Q in there, no doubt. Billy Q always, with the volume he throws, over 7 significant strikes, good win equity, good inside the distance prop, can mix in takedowns, like 1.5 takedowns, like all of that sets up. Billy Q, when he wins, he really scores well. So I think he could be in the 40% range, which means I think Damon Jackson around 20%. That's a lot of leverage off of Billy Q. Plus 285 inside the distance for Damon Jackson's good. And you look at his path, 15 of his 22 wins are by submission. Billy Q has been susceptible to takedowns, getting controlled on the mat a little bit. There's definitely a path for Damon Jackson. You look at the odds, plus 145, plus 150. He's going to be half the ownership right there. I think I'll probably end up more overweight on Damon Jackson. If it's 45-20 or 43-22 or something like that, I probably end up with more Damon Jackson. Again, I'm picking Billy Q. I think he does break him. Maybe a little better live spot. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Billy Q won round 1 and just ran away with it. But the longer the fight goes, it definitely benefits him. Talking game theory wise, we play a salary game, all of that, 1,600 savings. Just like Cody Durden. If Damon Jackson wins, I think he scores very well. Probably a submission win, takedowns, control time, stuff like that. So another great fight to target. If combined, like picking on both sides of it, this is the best fight outside of the main event to target, in my opinion, as most Billy Q fights are. Awesome fight right there. That's why I recommend playing multiple lineups in MMA, though. There's really cheap contests. Instead of playing a $10 single entry, play 3 entries in the $3. There's $1 contest, stuff like that. Gives a little better sweat. You can go 6 for 6 and still not even be close to first place because you not only need wins, you need ceiling performances and stuff too. So definitely an MME sport for me. Some people are successful at single entry though. Whatever works best for you, that's how you play DFS. Just not best for me, that's for sure. Next fight, another banger. There's a lot of good fights on this card. Jeremiah Wells, Carlson Harris, 8,500 Wells, 7,700 for Harris. So yeah, this I've been talking about Harris being one of the most popular dogs. Wells opened this fight minus 210, plus 180 on the way back for Harris. It's all the way down to like minus 120 Wells, plus 100 Harris. Monies came in on Carlson Harris all week. Wouldn't be surprised if it closed about a coin or about a pick 'em. So it's minus 250 to finish. Harris plus 140, Wells plus 170. So right here, this is before I don't even care who I pick. I mean, it's a really close fight, all of that. This is where game theory comes in. Pretty much a coin flip fight, under 1.5, like plus 110. I think Carlson Harris will be like 1.5 times higher owned than Wells. $800 savings, the money line equity. It's a salary game we play. Like that 800 does go a long way. 1.5 times his own, like 35 to 20%, something like that is what I can see ownership. If that's the case, like give me Wells. I'll be more overweight on him. Plus 140 to finish. He has a lot of power. He has mixed in takedowns. Harris has good grappling. I think this fight, I think the wrestling mainly negates each other. Both guys average like 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. On the feet, Wells has a bunch of power. Harris is wonky, but has power himself. But just game theory-wise, not even having to make a pick or something, math, all of that, I don't think he should be 1.5 times higher owned. That's what I have him at. So I'll say I'll have more Wells than Harris. But in a vacuum, that 800, like Harris, almost even money, would be the better play. But ownership is important in DFS. So what do you got in this one?
Yeah, I think you broke it down great. I prefer Harris because I think this is a toss-up fight and he's $800 cheaper. So if we're not worried about ownership, give me Harris. But if he's going to be, 1.5 times more owned than Wells, then I'm fine going to Wells because I have no lean on this fight. Both guys are solid wrestlers. They can get multiple takedowns, spend time in top control. Wells has big-time one-punch power. I would expect Harris to be the overall minute winner on the feet, though. And he's got power as well. I just think if this is a striking match, we're going to need the knockout. Neither one of these guys are going to be too high volume and score well in the decision if the wrestling ends up canceling out. But, man, if either one of these guys have 2 or 3 rounds of success on the ground, then they're going to score well. Or if they get a finish early. And they've scored well in all their wins. Wells has 4 UFC wins. He scored 105, 103, 111, and 96. we're cool with all of those at 8,500. And then Harris has 3 UFC wins. He scored 113, 110, and 94. So if we can get any of those scores from these guys, they're going to be on the optimal lineup. I'm cool targeting either side. I picked Harris to get the win, but that's because he had a plus next to his name on the odds. If Wells was the one with the plus next to his name, I would have picked him. So yeah, I guess I would rather just go with the lower owned guy and have Wells in more lineups. So I think you sold me on that. Great breakdown.
Yeah. It's like I said, it was such a close fight. Like beginning of the week when it was like Harris was plus 120, 125, I'm like, give me the dog money, give me Carlson Harris there. But that's not the game we're playing. We're not betting for value. We are playing when you do win. Like Ant's saying right here, like if all 6-year fighters win, like you'll make your money back. Don't get cute. Well, I ain't trying to just win and min cash. I'm trying to, when I win, I'm trying to win 100K. I'm trying to win 75K. I'm trying to tie with 3 people, 4 people, 6 people. I'm not trying to hold hands with 45 people. You get 8,000 back, and I'm not 8,000 is great. I would take 8,000. Tell me I win 8,000. Sign me up right away. However, long term, I want to hold hands with as least amount of people as possible. It's first or last in MMA, especially because there usually is trains. You can have the second nuts right behind the train of 30 people, and you are losing if you're max entering. So MMA is a different beast. Just like tennis. If you play tennis, it's similar there. But an individual sport with 6 roster spots, only so many fights. It's different than MLB, NHL, NBA, and that's why I absolutely love it. So, yep, that's game theory, a little talk there. No, people appreciate it. It's very important in this sport. We appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. If you're watching live, watching on playback, do us a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Doing these shows every single day for you. Any sport, MLB, NFL will be coming up, NBA, MMA, PGA. Something is on this channel every day at SHIPIT Nation. And if you want all of our content, my fight breakdowns, overweight, underweight tags, cores from Marley, Hoop, myself, tier rankings, fight rankings from Marley, access to us in Discord to go along with projections, ownership, and PGA, MLB, best ball, so much we have over here. No better price, $59 a month, $599 a year. Next fight on the card, Kyler Phillips, Ronnie Barcelos, 9,000 Phillips, 7,200 Barcelos. We got about minus 210 for Phillips, plus 175 on the way back for Rioni, plus 100, about even money. This fight finishes, plus 205 Phillips, plus 400 for Rioni. What you got in this one?
I think it's going to be a fun fight. I like both of these guys, both very well-rounded, can both fight at a high pace, can both land multiple takedowns through, the course of 3 rounds. So I don't see any big advantage for either guy in this fight. Barcelos is like 37 years old now, looking like he could be on the decline. But Phillips is coming off of a PED suspension. Maybe he's going to be on a decline as well if he's not juicing. So I just think this is a close fight, and I'm leaning towards Barcelos because of that reason. I'd rather save $1,800 in a close fight. Phillips at $9K, it's a tough price tag. I think he could definitely score over 10x here, but he's never scored over 100 points in his 4 UFC wins. So I would just rather pay up for other favorites. Barcelos at 7,200, he's got 4 UFC wins with over 100 DraftKings points, including his last win, which was a decision. So I love seeing 100 plus in a decision. If they're both mixing in takedowns, both striking at a high rate, I think Barcelos is just going to be the one that's going to have a much easier time paying off his price tag. I think the line should be closer than it is. So I'm going with Barcelos in this one in a fun fight, probably our second funnest fight on the card. They'll probably get screwed over for that fight of the night because of the main event, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I'm on Barcelos' side too. I think the odds are a little too wide. Phillips hasn't fought in like 2 years. Ronnie's got all the skills in the world. Phillips likes to get the fight to the mat. Ronnie, great takedown defense. I think it mainly stays out at range. So I don't love this fight for DFS. Kyler Phillips, 9,000. I'm not going to get to him with 20 teams or less. Like I said, I'm locking Sandhagen. Billy Q's a little less. I like Suarez for more. Jake Hadley's for a little less. I like all their upside more. And I'm not even picking Phillips. If he was going against someone that he could get takedowns, I'd feel more confident in it. Sure, but I think Ronnie keeps it on the feet. Phillips pretty much round 1 or bust at this price, so won't have any of him. 20 teams or less. As far as Barcelos, I like him. But I think like I'm picking him to win. So of course I'm going to have some, but I like Durden's upside way more. I like Damon Jackson's upside way more. Like there's other underdogs that if they win, I feel better about. I think this fight could play out at range. I like the low kicks from him, but he lands 4 strikes a minute, something like that. 85 significant strikes later, decision win. He puts up 72, 75, which you don't complain about it for that price tag. But on a slate like this with all the upside, I'm going to be hunting more dogs upside more. So underweight around the field, Rioni, I am picking him as the dog. I don't like Kyler Phillips. So pretty lockstep in that one. Keep it rolling. Next fight, Ignacio Bahamondes, Ludovic Klein, 9,100 Bahamondes, 7,100 for Klein. We got Bahamondes about minus 225, plus 190 on the way back for Klein. This fight is minus 115, minus 105 to finish. Bahamondes plus 190, Klein plus 315. Take it away. What you like in this one?
I kind of like fading this one, actually, because I expect this to be a striking match. Both guys are primarily strikers. I would think Klein is more likely to mix in takedowns, but he just doesn't do enough with them to even score well if he does. So at 7,100, I think Klein's more in play for the knockout to have any chance at 100-plus points here. And I'm picking Bahamondes to get the win. I think he's just the better overall striker, the much higher pace striker. I just think he kind of doubles up Klein on the feet and wins 3 rounds, but doesn't score enough to hit the optimal lineup. So give me Bahamondes to score in the 80s and just get outscored by other favorites. I'll be looking to fade this fight, but at the same time, they're both in play for a knockout. It's basically pick them if this fight ends early or not. So I think, 10% up to 15% of each guy would be okay with me if that's what the solver ends up giving me. But my handbill, it's not going to end up in my single entry. I'll tell you that much. And I'm probably not going to be clicking this too much if I'm building 20 or less lineups by hand. It'll be a solver fight for me.
Yeah, no, I'm completely lockstep on this one. One of my least. We liked a lot of the fights early. Now we talked about this one. We talked about the last one with Phillips and Barcelos. Like, you can't love every fight. This one kind of fits in the same boat as that one. I like Bahamondes to win. Very good kickboxer. I think Klein might try to mix in takedowns. Bahamondes' takedown defense has been pretty good, though. 8-inch height advantage for Bahamondes, 3-inch reach advantage. Been kickboxing his whole life. The kicks are nasty. He can pull out the jab. He has good range management. I think Klein's going to struggle. Klein used to fight at 145 too. Bahamondes would never make that. So the much, much bigger fighter will look like a weight class apart. I think it stays on the feet and like at 9,100. Again, I'm locking Corey Sandhagen. I really love him. I think he wins. Always scores well. I like Billy Q for less. I like Hadley for less. I like Suarez for a couple hundred more. I'm going to leave him in my pool. I eventually changed it where I'm going to cap him at like 15%. If the solver gives me 0, I'm totally fine with it. However, he's going to get overlooked. He'll be low owned in this range, just like Woodson. If you want to take the shot on Woodson, kind of same thing. I like Bahamondes more for the 500 price savings, but 7.93 significant strikes per minute for Bahamondes. Does have some power. Like, he has a path. You can draw up a path. The Roosevelt Roberts fight, that knockout, one of the best you'll ever see. Like, he's put up enough big boys to be there. I don't love it, but with the ownership, how low owned he'll be, I'm going to leave him in the pool, cap him at like 10 to 15. If I get 0, totally fine with it, though. If I'm only playing 5 lineups, 10 lineups, I don't get to this fight either. So definitely right in lockstep with you. I think Bahamondes does win this fight, though. The better striker, so not much interest in Klein in the lower tier. Keeping it rolling, Tanner Bozer, Alexa Kamer, 8,700 Bozer, 7,500 for Kamer. This fight there's been some line movement in this one as well, which you can see by the pricing. So Bozer opened minus 185, Kamer plus 160 on the way back. Now this fight's about minus 145 for Bozer, plus 125 Kamer. This fight is coin flip, plus 100 to finish, plus 240 for Bozer, plus 275 for Kamer. So, this is one of the grossest fights on the card, probably one of my least favorites. And as far as Bozer, he was a light heavyweight. Like, he was a heavyweight that was light, was what I'm trying to say. Drops down to light heavyweight, which is his proper weight class. There's just nothing that, like, stands out about him. He throws okay volume, around 4 significant strikes per minute. He's not some takedown defense problems. He's not going to be doing any of the taking down. Power, not really. At this weight class, anyone connects, you can fall down. But there's so many others I like in the range more. His first round prop isn't good. I think it was like plus 600 in round 1 at 8,700, only a minus 145 favorite. I'm just not going to get to Bozer. As far as Alexa Kamer, so last time we saw him over 2 years ago, he was 25 then, so he's 27 now, and he's been dealing with like elbow and hand problems. I looked into it. Pretty much, long story short, just to dumb it down, because I'm no doctor by any means, like his nerves endings were getting cut off or something. So that doesn't sound good. Who knows how much he's been able to train, which is a little concern. He had fights booked. He had to cancel throughout. I'm taking him to win because, A, he's 1,200 less. He's 27 years old, so I'm hoping he's in the gym making improvements, even though with that injury, hopefully they figured all of that out. He's a fast starter, so I think he has more upside there. Can't slow down as the fight goes a little bit. But at the end of the day, I just know I'm not playing Bozer. I'll take the unknown, the guy that I'm hoping to get better with Kamer. But, yeah, I mean, some red flags for sure. This is not a fight I'm looking forward to much. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking to fade Bozer. I think he's going to be knockout or bust at 8,700. And he's just not a dangerous enough striker for me to think that he's going to get the knockout, especially early. I think it would be more likely Kamer comes in and just gasses out because he hasn't been around for a while, and Bozer finishes him late. It's probably not going to be enough. And I just think that Kamer's going overlooked this week. He hasn't done anything great in the UFC, but he's not outclassed anywhere, and he is the young guy. If anyone's going to make improvements coming into this fight, it's going to be Kamer, where Bozer's a finished product. We pretty much know what we're getting with him, and that's a somewhat high-paced striker. He tries to be technical, but he's just not an athlete. I'm just not sold on Bozer, so I'm going to pick Kamer as well. I think this is just a close fight. Kamer can keep up with him on the volume. I think he's more likely to land takedowns. I also think he's more powerful. So give me Kamer. I'd rather save that $1,200. I just don't feel good about the winner of this fight scoring well in a decision win. It's minus 125 to go the distance. So they're saying 55% chance this one does go all 15 minutes. And I don't think either one of them even hits 10x in a decision win. So I won't be too heavy on either side, but Kamer is an underdog I'm going to be mixing into lineups because I'm picking them to win.
Yeah, it's the exact same. We're lockstep there. Like, I'll be Kamer probably comes in a little over-owned. Like, you look at his win equity plus 125 for 7,500. A lot of people gravitate to that. They don't even look into ceilings and stuff like that.
True.
So I'm going to have him for the win equity there, and it is light heavyweight. He does have power, 5 of 6 wins by KO, but probably more around the field, just at that price tag, at that ownership. But much prefer him than I do Tanner Bozer for sure. And we did get the winner in the Discord. Very impressive. Darth Brooks. Jailton Almeida was the guy Jay Sully said. And as he just put in Discord, he said, future champ, Jailton Almeida, complete stud. So when he told me that, Jay Sully, I was like, that's a great name. Very impressive, too. I thought we were going to have to give some hints. So shout out you, Jay Sully. Great week last week. Chip 5 figures. Darth Brooks, awesome call there. So Jay Sully was going to hit you up. We're talking in Venmo right now. Keeping it rolling, though, next fight. And, again, we are still giving away 2 tickets for MLB. Go to SHIPIT Nation on Twitter. Follow. Make sure – I think it's only you really have to follow, but make sure you read that tweet. Get in line and have a chance to get a $222 22-cent ticket. Next fight on the card, Diego Lopez, Gavin Tucker, 8,300. Diego, 7,900. Gavin Tucker. I'm excited for this one. We got Diego coming about minus 175, plus 150 on the way back. Is it Lopes or Lopez? I don't even know for sure. So before I keep messing it up, which one is it, Marley?
I think it's Lopez.
That's what I thought too, but I spelled like Lopes. I think it's Lopez too. So we're going Lopez. Man, so I'll get into the inside the distance props first. But so it's minus 175, plus 150. It's fights minus 160 to finish. Under 2.5, minus 120. So plus 110 for Lopez, plus 375 for Gavin Tucker. I mean, man, so a lot of line movement in this one, which is why He's 8,300 and a huge favorite. Lopez opened as the dog. It was minus 140 Tucker, plus 120 Lopez. Immediately, Lopez got by to minus 130. And ever since then, slowly but surely, money has been pouring in on Lopez this past week. I'm not going to say recency bias, but it was definitely because of his last performance on short notice against Masvidal Evloev, which he lost, but gave a great account for himself. We haven't seen Gavin Tucker in years now. The last 2 fights hasn't looked good. Knocked out by Dan Ige in 22 seconds. Before that, I mean, the Ricky Glenn fight way in the past changed his life. One of the worst beatings you'll see. But before that, before the Dan Ige one, Billy Q, he did get the win. He looked career best in that fight. So we went from career best to damn near career worst. Which Gavin Tucker is going to show up today? I think that's the big question because the underdog number is enticing. DFS-wise, I love this fight. I think it mixes into the mat. I think it's high volume, high pace. Who's going to get the job done, though? Because Tucker is a great leverage play off of Lopez.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Tucker here. I mean, a lot of unknowns. We haven't seen him in a while. The last time we did see him, he was knocked out right away, so we didn't get to see him there either. And then Lopez, without him in his last fight, he wouldn't be the favorite here. There's nothing on the regional scene that made me think, damn, he would be a favorite over Tucker. It was that he looked so impressive in a loss to Evloev, who was just a potential champion. So I'm going to go with Tucker here because I think he could be the overall minute winner. I think if there's a finish in this fight, it's more likely Lopez. More likely a submission as well. He does throw power on the feet. He's an aggressive striker and can throw in combinations, but it's more so to close the distance and get people to the ground, which is where he really shines. And I think he could submit Tucker in any round, I guess. But I think Tucker's the better striker, the guy who'll be throwing more volume. I think he's got better movement on the feet, and I think he's the better wrestler. So if he can avoid getting submitted, I think he could go look for takedowns in this one and have success in top control. I think he could use his wrestling in defense and keep this fight standing and just win the minutes on the feet. That would be more of a worry for DraftKings. He wouldn't score as many points that way. But this is a guy who scored 120 points in a decision win over Quarantillo. He had 7 takedowns in that fight. And I think this is an easier matchup than Quarantillo. So I'm going to go with Tucker in this one. I think Lopez is very in play, though, 8,300. The value's now on his side. If there's a finish, it's probably him. But for me, I'll be more of a hedge play on Lopez, and I'll be underweight to the field. And I plan on getting leverage to Tucker. Give me Tucker to win 2 or 3 rounds.
Liebman said Tucker going to be chalk. No, I think Lopez is going to be pretty chalky because minus 175. So when the pricing came out, Lopez was around a minus 135 favorite. He's got like 40 cents since then. So if they redid pricing, so Lopez is the same win equity money line as Sean Woodson. Woodson's 9,600. And again, of course, Woodson was a different favorite at the time pricing was released, but they released it on Monday. I wish they did it Wednesday or a little later in the week. It's not like contest fill then by any means. So that's a story for another day. But Woodson's a minus 170 favorite at 9,600. Lopez is a minus 170 favorite at 8,300. Lopez is going to get great win equity, good money, good inside the distance props. He's going to be chalkier. So naturally, I'm picking Lopez. It's not the most confident. I was just so impressed with what he did against Evloev. So many concerns or red flags, just unknowns with Gavin Tucker. However, Lopez has no takedown defense because he's so confident off his back. It could be like the Billy Q fight. Stay safe on top, win minutes on the feet. Gavin Tucker probably wins minutes, throws more volume. Lopez has a lot of power, though. So I just think the big moments, he can steal rounds at any time. But again, this kind of goes back to the Wells-Carlson-Harris fight. Throw out whoever I think is going to win. If Gavin Tucker's 1.5 times less owned, 2 times less owned, if Gavin Tucker's the side, I'll be more overweight on him. So another fight right in that mid-tier. I think Lopez and Harris come in a lot higher owned than Wells and right here with Tucker. So game theory-wise, you always got to think on how to play lineups. You got to try and get different, leave salary, etc. Easier to get overweight on Tucker there. So, yeah, I'm picking Lopez. He just not one kill jiu-jitsu, but very, very good jiu-jitsu. 11 wins by sub, 8 wins by KO. The more dangerous fighter. Tucker just got starched. First punch of the fight, knockdown. Ige knocks him out. So It'll be a fun fight, though. One definitely I will have interest in. Should be a high-paced, fun fight right there. Another fight right in the mid-tier. Kennedy Nzechukwu, Dustin Jacoby, 8,400. Kennedy, 7,800 for Jacoby. Another fight that we've seen some line movement. Jacoby opened the small favorite, minus 125. Now it's the line flipped and some. Kennedy now minus 155. Jacoby about plus 130. I definitely like that other fight more, right? So 8,400, 7,800. We just talked about 8,300, 7,900 fights. I like the Lopez fight and the Tucker fight a lot more than this one. This fight's minus 140 to finish. Jacoby plus 335. Kennedy plus 140. So at this odds, I lean dog or pass for betting. I lean Jacoby. If he can keep it on the feet, he's the kickboxer. I think he can outpoint Kennedy for 15 minutes and win a decision that way. But for DFS, I think Kennedy has more upside because he's shown wrestling as of late. I think he could make it like the Carl Roberson fight. He stands at range for a bit. He's really big for the division. Kennedy has the tail to tape advantage. Jacoby's the better kickboxer, though. I think he beats up the legs. The jab will be in his face early, which will make Kennedy wrestle. At least that's what I'm hoping. And if he has, so Jacoby has not fought any wrestlers really. Fights Cutelaba, gets taken down 9 times, 8 times in the first round. Cutelaba gasses. Jacoby's takedown defense is an unknown. He's had a lot of UFC fights, just hasn't had matchups like that. I think Kennedy puts on the wrestling shoes or at least mixes them in. When it's on the mat, maybe he can find a sub. He's only getting better, really big frame. If he stands at range, he's going to lose. But I think Jacoby's more decision. He has knockouts. He has some pop, but more of a decision fighter, which I don't love the upside as much. Whereas Kennedy, I think, has more pass to the optimal. So for that reason, I like Kennedy more. At this price, though, if I had to bet, it'd be dog or pass. What do you like?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I am going to pick Jacoby here because he's the underdog, and I think he's just a better overall kickboxer. And Chukwu, Kennedy, yeah, however you say his last name, Kennedy, he looks like he's just improving every single fight. But he's primarily a striker. And if he goes out and strikes in this fight, I just don't think he's improved enough to be a lifetime kickboxer in Jacoby. So that's what made me pick Jacoby. I think the early knockout would be his only chance at 100 points, though. But at 7,800, I do think he can get 70 to 85 points, and that could be enough on a 12-fight card. So I'm actually going to prefer Jacoby just because I'm picking him to win. And I think that the ownership could be there on Kennedy, but Kennedy could get there with a knockout as well. And the last time he fought a kickboxer was Roberson, and he wrestled the whole time. He could look to do that here. So he is the one with the higher ceiling, more ways to hit that high ceiling. No issues if you'd rather go overweight to Kennedy here. I think it makes complete sense. But I think Jacoby goes overlooked, and I would rather just get my leverage on a guy that I'm picking to win. But overall, it's not a fight I'm going to be targeting much because I would rather go down to the Tucker or Lopez fight or up to the Harris and then Wells fight. So it's just stuck right in between two better fights, which will put me underweight as a whole. But I'll take Jacoby just by a close fight.
Yeah, and like how you just talked about it, I agree on everything. But that's why this card is a lot of fun because like -1, a lot of fights are supposed to finish, a lot of good mid-tier fights, a lot of live dogs with ceilings. This is a really good DFS card. You can leave some salary. You can jam the mid-tier. You know where ownership, where leverage is going to be. It's a fun DFS card, no doubt. On paper, yeah, there's definitely better cards. Like someone was like, with how good these cards have been recently, like, are you going to top last week's? Are you going to top 290? But on paper, okay card. You look into it more and what we care about, DFS, it's a good card. So I'm excited. And all of our content, if you want it, you want access, pick our brains, anything in Discord, any questions, head over to SHIPITNation.com. $59 a month, $599 a year. 2 fights left. 2 of the biggest favorites on the card. The 2 biggest favorites on the card, actually. Tatiana Suarez taking on Jessica Andrade, 9,500 Suarez, 6,700 for Andrade. Suarez is -375 to -410. Andrade about +300 on the way back. -250 the fight finishes, +625 for Andrade, -185 for Suarez. Not every day you see Jessica Andrade is this big of a dog, but man, it's a brutal stylistic matchup for Andrade. Suarez, if you guys don't know her, she's been hurt for a little while. Came back last fight against Montana De La Rosa. honestly, I didn't even think she looked very good, but she did what she had to do to win. Some ring rust there. That fight was at 125, now dropping to 115, where her normal weight class is. She averages over 6 takedowns per 15 minutes. One of the best wrestlers the UFC has seen. If it wasn't for injuries, could very well be holding a belt right now, or at least has in the past. Who knows about Andrade, man? Like the Yang Jinan fight, the Aaron Blanchfield fights. I'm starting to wonder if her prime, she's only 31 years old, but how many fights she's had, where her motivation is she taking it seriously as she once was? And if even for a split second, if you're lacking or something like that, Tatiana Suarez will take advantage of it. I think takedowns are there for her. When it's on the mat, Andrade doesn't have a great get-up game, I think we see a submission or TKO, probably round 1. However, if Andrade wins, she will be optimal. I feel very good about that. The pace of this fight, she has power. Suarez will be one of the highest owned favorites. If you play chalk, and you need one difference maker, I don't think Andrade is the craziest play. For that reason, I'm still going to keep her in my pool in 20 entry or less. She'll be the lowest owned fighter, one of the lowest owned fighters. So you don't need much to be around the field or even just get a couple. But yeah, I mean, I think Suarez gets takedowns, and from there, it's really no match. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, Andrade at 6,700. If she wins, she's on the optimal lineup. She's never scored less than 88 in a win. She's going to have the striking edge here, and she has knockout power. So if she can use her wrestling just to keep this fight on the feet, then I think she's going to win just by knocking this girl out or possibly winning 3 rounds with the striking. I just don't think that's the case. Suarez, this is not the matchup you want to go out there and test your striking. Go out there, do your bread and butter, get takedowns early, keep the fight on the ground, and I think Suarez just dominates as long as the fight lasts. And I see Andrade just giving up her back at some point, and Suarez locking in a rear naked choke, maybe second or third round after Andrade starts to give up, thinking about how much money she's making on OnlyFans, you know. So I'll take Suarez. She's going to be my preferred play, maybe my favorite play on the slate, top 1 or 2. She's just got the highest ceiling with her wrestling, and this is a fight where she needs to wrestle at all times. So she could rack up to 10 takedowns if Andrade is able to get up, but she could also have 14 minutes of control time in a decision. She has scored 157 DraftKings points in a third-round finish before. So she just has the highest ceiling on the card with that wrestling. I'm going to be heavy on her. You lock her into cash games. She will be the first or second highest owned fighter on the card. If you want to get away from her, that's the reason. But in my opinion, if you're getting away from her, you're putting Andrade in your lineup because it probably means that she won. So I'll be almost all in on this fight, but Suarez the side. I think she gets a submission at some point.
Yeah, talking to Sean B in chat, just responding. You're too sharp, Sean B. 9,400 price has a 97% win rate. 97, it doesn't lose, have 0 Andrade. What I responded was, that means nothing for what's going to happen this week. Minus 410 does not equate to a 97% win probability. And again, I won't have much Andrade, but if she's 6%, I think the numbers will say 6% is still underowned there. But, and someone mentioned Suarez did not make the optimal last time out. Yeah, she only scored 99 because the second round finish. 99, I would feel very confident is not in the winner. However, her ceiling, she can put up 130 as well. So it's not a lock button by any means for me. I'm locking this next fight in Corey Sandhagen, but on paper, it's one of the best plays on the slate. Now we're talking main event time. Again, if you haven't hit that like button yet, we appreciate it. Everyone watching live, everyone watching on replay, like, subscribe, helps us out a ton. Want all of our content for fights, PGA. If you want ownership and projections as well, we have that. And PGA, MLB, best ball, NFL, NBA. Head over to SHIPITNation.com. Main event time. Corey Sandhagen gets a short notice replacement. Supposed to fight Umar. Gets Rob Font. Awesome fight here. 5 rounds, 9,300 for Sandhagen, 6,900 for Rob Font. Plus or minus 350 is Sandhagen. He opened minus 200. That line, yeah, I wish I got a piece of that. Now minus 350, plus 285 on the way back for Font. This fight is minus 140 to finish. Minus 110 is Sandhagen inside the distance, plus 700 for Font. So these guys, insane volume. Sandhagen 5.98 significant strikes per minute. Font 6.46. Both these guys are really good. Font, we cashed in big last time against Adrian Yanez as the dog. That was big time. Corey Sandhagen looked career best against Cheeto Vera, went on the JRE show, talked to Rogan, just said, man, I was just in a zone. It's like he was hallucinating or something. I forget the metaphor he used, but he goes like, I just my body did it. I didn't even have to think. I was so locked in, wasn't nervous at all. Like, he feels I'm in the prime, and he looks like he was in his prime. I was debating. I told myself, I'm not betting against Umar. I was debating taking the dog money on Corey Sandhagen. I really was. I'd look at this guy as high as anybody. Rob Font never been finished, but man, time is coming to get finished. The damage he took against Jose Aldo, I don't know how he survived the whole 25 minutes. I think Sandhagen can mix in wrestling. I think he will, and I think he'll have some success there. On the feet, I think his movement, his wonkiness, I think he finds a rhythm. All the 100% Corey Sandhagen in 20 teams or less. I think he styles on him. I think he eventually knocks him out. I don't think Font can take all the damage. However, if you don't play Corey Sandhagen and Rob Font wins, similar to what we just said about Andrade, he will be optimal. There's enough volume to go in this fight. There's 25 minutes. You get leverage off of Sandhagen. Font still might come in over-owned or relatively correctly owned in 150. I'm not going to lock Sandhagen, but yeah, 20 teams or less, it's Sandhagen all day for me. I think he does use wrestling. I think he puts up another big performance. What about you?
Yeah, I'm Team Sandhagen. I've been calling him to be a future champ since his first UFC fight, and I'm sticking with it. I just think the skills are there. I love his boxing. I love the angles he throws his striking tools at, and he's impressive on the ground as well. So I just don't see where Font has an edge in this fight. If Font wins, I would expect it to be a decision, probably a poor decision, but we've seen the judges, man. They're really good at poor decisions, so it wouldn't shock me. But I am going to be very heavy on Sandhagen. Him and Suarez are my two favorite plays on the slate. I would lock them both into cash games, figure out the rest after that. But yeah, this is going to be the most important fight to target because they're super high volume strikers. Either one of them could get a finish, but I think Sandhagen's more powerful, more durable, much better grappler, better wrestler as well. So I'm just leaning much more towards the Sandhagen side. I'm cool locking them in with the 20 out of 20, but I think I would be more like 90 or like 85% and 15% Font or something like that. I also think you can make a case for Sandhagen winning and just not making the optimal lineup, maybe finishing him in the second or third round and scoring 90 points. So that would be a reason for me not to go 100% all in on a fight that is going to be very heavily owned. But as you said, man, if Font wins this fight, he's going to be on the optimal lineup. He has 10 fights where he scored over 100 DraftKings points, and one of those was in a loss. He scored 114 points in a loss against Marlon Vera. So I'm not against stacking this fight in GPPs as well on a 12-fight card. I think that this could be, 120 points for Sandhagen, 85 points for Font in a loss, and it ends up on the optimal lineup with the stack. So I might have a couple hand-built lineups with the stack. I think the stack in cash is great as well. But yeah, man, give me Sandhagen. I just think he's too much of a stud for Font here. I expect him to roll. He could finish in any round, but if this does go all 5 rounds, I expect to think he wins 4 or 5 rounds myself. Then we'll see what the experts think.
Yeah, well, I would definitely wouldn't call them experts if you're referring to the judges. I mean, you talked about who knows. Some judge gave Cheeto Vera the fight against Corey Sandhagen last time. I mean, that's 50-43 or 50-44 before you somehow give Cheeto 3 rounds. I mean, that's as bad as it gets. So who the hell knows if it goes 25 minutes? I will never forget that one. But a couple things you said. Yeah, we talked about Rob Font, the stack. I always say no. It is viable in GPPs this week. Will I get to it? Not sure. I know I won't get there with 20 or less. In 150, do I put a little portion of my portfolio? Maybe it can get there. There's enough live dogs on this card, though. I'd be more willing to do it, or entitled maybe is the word. Regardless, I'd do it more so if it was a card where the lowest dog was like, if it was plus 200, plus 225, plus 250, and we had so many big favorites, like 5 favorites or minus 300 plus, the lower range had no win equity. That's not the case. You get Durden good at win equity. You get so many guys. You can go down the whole list. Like Ludovic Klein still is less than plus 200. A lot of these guys I think are going to come through. So you need probably 25 minutes. This fight's little expected to finish. If it stays on the feet, Font can definitely get there. I think Sandhagen mixes in wrestling, so Font won't score as many points there. The stack definitely makes sense, though. It's not crazy one bit. Maybe I have a little bit. In cash games, you're donating if you don't stack this fight. No doubt about that. Yeah, Lehman asked, we just touched on the stack. What I was gonna say, I forget what else. Yeah, the Cheeto fight and the Aldo fight. Man, did Font take so much damage. He's the minute winner. He throws so much volume, the jab, but he is willing to take a shot right now. I'm concerned about the chin, the body shots, just everything. I think Sandhagen stops him late in the fight. Oh, the last thing at what you said, like you wouldn't lock him in 20 entry because there's a path that he doesn't, even if he wins, he's not on the optimal 100%. That's why I'm not doing it in 150. However, 20 teams and less, I like to make more stands just so when I'm right, I only got to figure out 5 spots with 20 lineups now instead of other stuff. 5 fades, multiple underweight takes, one guy locked in. If he is optimal, if my fades do come through, I should be very live with multiple lineups. It's just my thought process. I'm not recommending everyone else stack it or lock button Corey Sandhagen. I'm just saying what I'm going to do. But all great points there. 12 fights, Marley. Always a great time. Any final words for the people?
No, man, looking forward to this one. Free card. 100K to be won to first place on DraftKings. So just can't complain. Looking forward to watching it. Looking forward to seeing somebody in here winning a lot of money. Good luck, title. Good luck to everybody listening.
Absolutely. And Cody, Sandhagen gatekeeper for the top 5. He ain't beating O'Malley, Aljo, Marab, and Umar. All I'll say is I would max bet lock button Corey Sandhagen and Sean O'Malley. And he give those other guys a fight. But yeah, the O'Malley one I feel very strongly about. But hey, who knows? Maybe one day we get that. And I think you do get plus money on that. If so, Cody. But great show. I was just reading. Great show. Great job, guys. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate the comments. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Sean B, always dropping knowledge. Rye Bars, Rummy. You guys make the show fun. Make it interactive. Appreciate that like. Appreciate that subscribe button on the way out. We'll be in the Discord. All of our content, as well as projections and ownership, going up pretty shortly. We'll tag the MMA Discord. MLB show later. And again, go to our Twitter. Sign up. You got to follow us. Giving away 2 MLB tickets, so stay tuned for that later today. And shout out to Jay Sully for giving away the MMA ticket. Good luck, everybody. Let's see some SHIPIT Nation logos up top for Big Marley. I'm Title Town. Good luck, everybody.